get married only after that. So the past experience were painful. But with Lee Kuan Yew, you're asking me about Lee Kuan Yew. The first one of the first TV documentaries that I did was really hitting at the core issue of race relationship. He was, I took an excerpt of his speech. He was talking to the English educated at the University of Singapore. During that period, the Chinese educated, they were still influenced by China. China just started the Cultural Revolution. They burned their old books and abandoned the past. They wanted to develop a new society where commonality, everybody is the same, no hierarchy. In the past, under the British or under the sultanates and all, there is this aristocracy. They are the pedigree who rule the people down below. But the communists said no, and the Chinese were influenced by that. They wanted to convert Singapore to become like communist China, and Lee Kuan Yew was really Barisan Socialists, if you could remember, were really said no, because he was trained in Oxford. He was British educated. So when speaking to the English educated at the University of Singapore, he told them, you know the piranhas, they were the Chinese educated. Piranhas were man-eating fish, so you can just be whacked by them. He told the English educated, you have to come up and become leaders for our tomorrow. And you know what he called the English educated? He called them the angel fish.
Versus piranhas.
Well, you know why angel fish? They were angelic, well-mannered, very suave, very kind, just like the English. My father-in-law, my husband was very amused. His IC, he was under the colonial period, he put his IC as himself as English because they admired. My father-in-law admired the English. He brought up all his children to follow. He was a school principal. He was the elite of that time. Then I asked myself, I'll be the producer for that program. Where does it put the? Oh, it is called School Days. School Days. It was on education. Lee Kuan Yew put a lot of emphasis on education. I joined 1970. No, television. Television. I started off with radio, Berita dan Peristiwa, and that was how the listeners wrote in to say, oh, they like what I did, and the others must follow me and put me into hell, into trouble with the others. And in these School Days, the piranhas and the angel fish. So he wanted the English educated to become leaders. Now it becomes a reality. So Singapore, English unifying language and English education was given all the attention and the support. And I was the producer and I had 13 years of Malay education. I told myself, where do I fit in? I look at myself then as an ikan bilis. Another fish, but so tiny.
Water.
But you know what it means, ikan bilis. I turn to piranhas, whack, kena whack. I turn to the angel fish. Of course, they are suave and all. Still, they sedot me. Slowly they suck me in. Either way, as ikan bilis, I would suffer. And so I told myself, when I gave birth to my son is not going to be ikan bilis. Yeah. My son I do not want him to inherit the past. But the past, during my period, when I was a producer, was about racial tension, racial prejudices, and fighting, hating one another. And my son, when he was growing up, after Lee Kuan Yew has got good intention. I will quote some of the things that I will explain how I saw him. Goh Chok Tong, also another leader. So it was Lee Kuan Yew stepped down on 1989. I was the producer, one of the producer with my another colleague, Jonji, award-winning, and my boss, Chandra Mohan. So the three of us. When he stepped down, Goh Chok Tong came in. Goh Chok Tong was seen as a more friendlier, people-oriented, and he made changes. So Lee Kuan Yew prime leaders, for the future. We benefited. My son benefited from Goh Chok Tong. He graduated. He went to the university and did engineering. Graduated in the year 2000. But in the year 2001, what happened? 2001, the New York Twin Towers was attacked by Islamic militants. And so Islam or Muslims were real again under scrutiny.
Yes, and were seen as the bad guys.
That's right, yeah. Seen as the bad guys. My son had problems in trying to make a footing into his career. But before that, I would like to mention about the earlier days. When Lee Kuan Yew, after setting up SNU in 1981, I was given an opportunity. Before that, I was given opportunities to hone my skills in television production. I had opportunity to take up TV journalism course in Europe, in Australia, and I went to BBC on my own because BBC was the model. And when I came back, Lee Kuan Yew set up Mendaki. I was the producer in charge. I was behind the camera and I saw how serious he was. He felt education was the way forward. And for that, I had to produce another documentary on Mother's Hope, Harapan Ibu. The emphasis was that parents who cared for their children will see their children growing well, to be able to cope with challenges of growth and development. Lee Kuan Yew was concerned about massive poverty left by the colonial government and illiteracy. So his emphasis was a lot on economic development, his emphasis was a lot on education. So when Mendaki was launched, there was so much hope. He spoke to the community leaders and he even had rehearsal. I had to attend to meet him for the first time, working closely with him in launching Mendaki. I was there and Mendaki was launched, but thereafter, because of the economic growth, women found that they could find jobs easily. MNCs came over and factories were set up, they can get money. So it improved their lifestyle. But the trade-off was that children were neglected. When that happened, economic growth and development causing women to leave behind their children in the care of others, the media came out with stories of increasing drug addictions, crime rate goes up, children didn't go to school, absenteeism, school dropouts.
Okay, does this case especially only for the Malay community or in general?
Actually, the main problem they faced was with the Chinese, the piranhas. The Chinese created problems, gangsterism, crimes and all. But for the Malays, actually Malays were very nice people. Also education was the concern. Chinese education, if you could remember, vernacular Chinese were all eliminated. But he kept some, SEP school, only Mandarin. And the older generation were not allowed to speak in dialects, only Mandarin. But what Lee Kuan Yew did, help young people today, they could go to China to set up business and all easily. But for the Malays, well, we only use a Malay language. But what happened was that Malay parents stopped sending their children to Malay school. Malay's Sanglila Utama was closed. That created some kind of, make us feel defeatist. Malay education could not help the Malays. And Malay leaders, we depended on the Malay MPs and all. They were supposed to speak up for Malay issues, not so much to champion, I think, because we live with other races, we have to understand the reality. But but we expect them to speak up for the cause and all. But what happened when the children all became delinquents, problem, Lee Kuan Yew said, we were enjoying free education, the Article 152 in the Constitution. He said, we were dependent on it, so we didn't pay attention to work hard to succeed in education. And what happened, once Mendaki was set up, he asked Mendaki to manage the funding of education for Malays as whole. No more birthright, because there were people, Malay people who were doing well.
VoiceOut Cakap je, VoiceOut Cakap je, VoiceOut Cakap je, VoiceOut Cakap je lah.